Sawasdee Krap, and here we are in Phuket at the start of the Sandbox. Just another day, another normal street. We're in Cheung Talay and we're going to take you on a bit of a trip around the rest of the island as well. But as normal as things look here, we can promise you that it's not the normal Phuket that you may have been used to. Phuket is now open. Thailand is now open. The kickstart for a reopening of Thai tourism was yesterday. 347 passengers arrived from around the world, the first pioneers of a new normal for Thai tourism. But they'll emerge from their hotel rooms this morning into a very different Phuket than they would have known over the years. The bustling streets, throngs of passenger vans crisscrossing the island, larger tour buses ferrying tourists to attractions and tour boats are now eerily quiet. Patong, the epicentre of Phuket's tourist scene, has been particularly decimated, with very few locals and expats living there and almost devoid of any tourists over the past 14 months. The Sandbox is a critical first step for restarting part of the country's GDP, some 20% either directly or indirectly derived from tourism. So the Phuket reboot is not just a restart for the southern Thai island, it's a blueprint for safely opening the rest of the country in coming months. So many thousands of people and businesses are putting their faith in this model that weighs the economic necessities with public health imperatives. Travelling around the island today, the message is still stark. Phuket's been shattered by 14 months of closure. About 100,000 workers previously gainfully employed in the local tourist machine have vanished. Not many have returned at this stage. But there are businesses, a few, that are leading the way and taking the risks of opening their shutters to the dribble of early tourists, and they'll be welcomed with open arms. And just consider, the beaches are clear. Phuket's magnificent west coast beaches have really never looked better. But back on the streets that used to meander through the coastal towns, formerly full of tourists, shopping, eating, having a drink, heading to the beach, they're still quiet and will remain quiet for at least a few more months as the hundreds of tourists eventually turns into thousands. But that's not going to happen immediately. And even those thousands will be well below the million or so passengers that used to arrive in Phuket each month prior to the COVID pandemic. But be assured, despite the devastation in some of the island's more touristy corners, other parts have been able to maintain a sense of normalcy, even while the international tourists were kept out. Places like Phuket Town, Chalong, Rawai and the business hubs have been busy throughout. So Phuket is functioning, and the Thai owners and landlords are now keen to get their shops open and start employing people again to serve the foreigners as they start arriving. Well, this is another part of Phuket. This is called Cheung Talay, a little thriving hub, very popular with expats and close to Bang Tao and Surin beaches. It's actually been quite busy right throughout the last year, pretty much because of the expat population. And every little part, every little zone around Phuket has coped in its own way and had its own particular vibe over the past 14 months. This area hasn't done too badly. So the big question is, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? In some ways, the tourists need to come back before these shops can reopen. But maybe we need to get the shops open and show tourists that Phuket is open and welcoming for them to come back to the island. Whatever happens, it's going to be a slow step, one day at a time, a week at a time, a month at a time, and this process will take months even years to rebuild up to anything near what we had in the past. So let's get behind the Phuket Sandbox, because it's the vital blueprint for reopening the rest of Thailand. It's such an important component of Thailand's GDP, it can't possibly fail. So please, come back. There's a lot to see. It's not quite the Thailand you remember, but it's still a Thailand very much worth visiting. Tim Newton reporting for the Thaiger.